Hello, my name's Alex Browsell. I'm the editor on M&M Global. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by two of our very senior guests, delegates at the festival today. We've got Eileen Kiernan, who's the Global President of J3, and Mat Baxter, who is the Global Chief Strategy and Creative Officer at IPG Mediabrands. They're all both technically new roles, I believe. Yours is very actually, and
Mine's I think about 8 months old.
8 months.
So pretty new.
Pretty new, and yours is sort of new in a way, renewed.
Well, about a year and a half, but new since the J&J decision was made, so yes, October.
Exactly. How are you finding the event so far?
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, UM has done very, very well, and IPG Mediabrands has done well, so we're particularly happy with this year's event, but the work has been great, the standard of work has been very inspiring, so we're very excited to see what comes of it and continue the run.
Yeah.
Enjoying the show so far? And
I am. I mean, it's been...
You've been in the judging as well, both of you?
We've both been in the judging. We were in separate judging rooms, so we spent yesterday locked in a room reviewing all the work, but I think the general standard has really been amazing. I mean, I've done this a couple of years ago, and just even in those years it's improved so significantly in terms of the quality of the work. The way it's packaged particularly, I think, is improved dramatically, like way better than it used to be. So yeah, I think it's been a really good show.
Yeah. What sort of looking around and popping into sessions and sitting in the judging?
Yeah.
What are you picking up as sort of big issues that people are talking about at the moment?
I think the really interesting thing is creativity is still at the core of all the things that have performed well. So that the power of the idea is still very much the centre of the work that's won significantly at the show, but informed by data. So I think data usage has been the thing that has enriched those ideas, and that's been a consistent theme in certainly the things that I judged. I'm not sure about you, Eileen, if that's...
Well, I think we talk a lot about better science and better art, and of course the data revolution has allowed us to put real rigour behind the better science proposition, but I think from better science you actually get much better art. So I think creativity gets supercharged by data and intelligence and insights about consumers, so I think we're seeing that in the quality of work that we're seeing.
Yeah, well, that's interesting that you're seeing it already, because I think one of the big talking points at the moment is the need to sort of marry data and creativity more in the industry, and bring those two together, and that they're not sort of magnets that oppose. You think we're getting there a little bit as an industry?
Yeah, I think that point was really interesting. I've had somebody else say that to me in the last couple of days, actually, that some people see data almost as an enemy of creativity, that kind of the more data that's there, the tighter the limits around creativity are, versus the opposite of that, which is actually true, which is the more data there is, the more creative you can be. And I think that theme is starting to really come through now. Almost every single piece of great work had an equally great piece of data mining and analysis and insight generation attached. They were almost, to Eileen's point around better art, better science, it's almost like a seesaw. If you can get them in balance, you get a great result. When one's a little bit overpowering to the other, you find that the work suffers as a result. You know, if you get too data-y, you get too far, you limit your capacity to be fantastic and create great work. And likewise, if you're too creative without thinking it through the consequence of the creative, without any kind of thought to how that creative is going to actually perform in a real world scenario, you suffer from that in equal measure on the other side, if that makes sense. So I think it's a really interesting thing that's definitely been coming through. Yeah.
I would add, from a client perspective, we used to be selling through a big idea required a very big leap of faith, and it was hard sometimes to galvanize clients to want to be innovative because there's a lot of risk associated. With more data, our ability to sell ideas through is drastically improved. And of course our ability to prove performance of ideas is also drastically improved. So I think it actually makes the coming together so much easier.
And particularly from pitching J&J last year and seeing what you're seeing with clients, what do you believe are the priorities for clients at the moment, what they're looking for from their agencies?
I think the data revolution has definitely brought around an idea that there needs to be a heightened level of accountability for our investments and our plans in the marketplace, and I think it's something that we're at that frontier now of being able to really link the impact of media on business outcomes and sales, if that's the KPI that the client is tracking to. And I think that's been a big change, because in the past we had to use a lot of proxies to try to get at that information, but now we have it. And I think that's kind of game changing, and I think we're at a point now where we're thinking about what do we do with that now? How do we start to now use creativity to move the needle in the right directions, now that we know how to track the needle in the first place? So
couldn't have said anything better. That's exactly the point.
Excellent summary.
Exactly the point. Action summary, as spoken by Eileen.
Yeah, and transparency has been a big issue. I know Jim from Jim Elms from Initiative was talking about it earlier on today as well. You know, Is it a crisis? Is this something that, as an industry we're working through?
Transparency as an issue. Look, I think transparency in many respects is being overblown a little bit in terms of, on major accounts there's always been a high degree of transparency, and I think it's expected. Marketing is still one of the single biggest investments that a client makes, so they have a right to transparency, and transparency is something that I think we should take seriously as an industry, and I think we certainly are doing that. I think there's been massive inroads even in the time briefly that I've been in the US. I mean, I've been in the US market now for 8 months. I know it's been a huge topic in those 8 months. So I think we as an industry are responding really responsibly to it, to be honest, and all the coverage that I see on it, and certainly the work that we're doing from within our network, is with transparency as the starting point. That is a hygiene table stake for any client relationship, that transparency is there from the start and accountability is there from the start. And to the point that Eileen made, that's what the data does. The data creates transparency. When you're in a data-rich environment, that transparency just bubbles to the surface, because everything that the agency is doing, every decision and action that the agency is making is accountable. And that's transparency at its most pure.
And you got some of that sense from J&J in the pitch?
Most definitely. I mean, J&J is a very large global client. We have their business in 89 markets around the world, so transparency was table stakes. I think, and I agree with Matt. I think it's expected, and I think what the industry is just working out now is how to move from it being a buzzword to how we actually operationalize business models around that are transparent in nature, because the way in which we work together and manage data and manage our priorities in a transparent world has a set of operating needs against it. So the quicker we can kind of get beyond the lingo to, so what does a new partnership, a new business partnership look like in this new ecosystem, I think the better off we'll all be.
Over the last 12 months, there's been a fair few changes at Mediabrands, new leadership in place. What can we look forward to over the next kind of 6 months? What's coming up?
Oh God, what a tough question to ask. Oh God. I mean, look, the first thing I think is you're going to see just a continuation of the things that you've already been seeing. So I think we are embracing the new reality of marketing and communications, and that's about us being a lot more agile and a lot more fast in the way that we operate as an organisation. So we talk about dynamic marketing as the core of what we do as a business, and I think that is a really important thing that we certainly feel distinguishes us now from the competition, which is being able to really do something for a client in a far quicker and more agile and real-time way than we've been able to do in the past. So we're going to continue to accelerate that. We've got some interesting announcements coming in the next 4 weeks around dynamic and some of the things that we'll be announcing in that area. And then I think just a continuation of embracing creative and data as a core part of our business. I mean, if you look at what has been doing in particular, I mean, has really performed brilliantly in the last 6 to 12 months because it's struck that ideal balance between the art and the science, and clients are responding to that, and that's why they've had the new business success that they have.
Yeah.
If I could just add as well, interestingly enough, I think the world that we live in has changed so rapidly, and I think we've been in this catch-up mode for a long time. So in that regard, having organizational change could be a really, really positive thing, because we can't incrementally grow our way into the future. We have to take some massive steps forward and take some risks. And I think that's the kind of organization that we have, and I think you're going to see a level of bravery and boldness that you haven't seen in the past. And I think our clients want it. I think they want to be taken to a bold, bright future that challenges them and that asks them to take some risks. And I think that's an environment that we will hopefully thrive within. So the momentum that we have today, I hope we use it as a tailwind to do more and more great things.
And I think just on that, the one other thing I would say about a network is, if you think about what a network's role historically has been in the agency world, a network's role has often been to get in the way and to slow things down and to make things more bureaucratic and more difficult versus actually empowering agencies to do a better job. So I think the thing that we've really been trying to do at the network level is to say, how does IPG Mediabrands actually help the agencies to be more successful versus how does IPG Mediabrands get in the way, slow things down, make things more difficult? And that pivot is a really difficult pivot for networks to make, and it's something that we've set ourselves that task and said we want to make sure that we're empowering, not disempowering, and hopefully that just continues to accelerate over the coming months and the coming years.
Well, we look forward to following the steps as they happen, and maybe we'll catch up in 12 months and find out how it's all going.
Sounds good.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thanks.